Thank you so much. And we are back on GTV Breakfast. We are celebrating World Water Day, and the theme for this year is accelerating change to solve the water and sanitation crisis. Be the change. This is in line with the UN Sustainable Development Goal SDG 6, clean water and sanitation, which is supposed to be achieved by 2030. So we have barely 7 years to catch up with that. At the current rate, we may not be able to make it and hit that target, especially if we do not have significant change in the purpose. And if we continue the decline in Galamsey for the coming decade, SDG 6 will be a mirage. In the studio to help us understand why we shouldn't let that happen, Engineer Frank Tay has joined us. He is a principal technologist at CSIR Water Research Institute. Engineer Tay, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
And he's here with Gilbert Asante, WaterAid Ghana, and he'll also be helping us understand the importance of this day. Gilbert, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you.
So we talk about water, and we talk about clean water and dirty water, and how we should go from this to that. But are we doing enough, or do we just wait for a day like this when it's World Water Day and we come and talk about it? Who wants to go first?
Okay, so I believe we don't have to wait till World Water Day. This day is just for us to highlight the importance, but a lot needs to go into making sure that we have safe, quality water and accessible water for Ghanaian people, and it requires that we put in a lot of effort, just as you indicated. We have the 2030 target, which is 7 years away, from us here, and looking at where we are now, where we are doing 87.7% of water coverage, and this is the entire country, and there's these urban and rural disparities. When you go to the urban centers, we are doing quite well, but when you go to the rural centers, we are not doing well as a country. And so for me, today is just for us to highlight the gains that we have been able to chalk for now, and then see how the way forward, how we are putting things together and making sure that we are getting towards the target that we have set for ourselves.
It's easy to get carried away when you hear statistics like 87%. And so we are tempted to think that we are on the high end of achieving the 100 target. But when you break it down into regional levels, then you realize there's a lot more work that needs to be done. On the engineering side, where have we got it wrong? Because we still have people in rural communities depending on streams and rivers for water.
Okay, thank you. And I would say on engineering science, sometimes giving the people water, you have to make sure you involve the people into it and they accept the water. Because sometimes, for instance, let's say you are giving the people a borehole. A borehole is a nice thing for them to use as a source of water for potable use. But sometimes the people rely on the stream, like you are saying, stream water, like you are saying. But it has to involve the people into it for them to understand, okay, though you have surface water that you rely on, but though the surface water is not enough when it comes to climate change. So let's look at it, okay, how can we supplement in a way to add, let's say, groundwater or maybe rainwater harvesting system in a way to support the water crisis. So in an engineering way, doing that, we have to make sure we involve the people, okay, putting infrastructure into place and making sure what we are doing become, accessible and good to use. We don't need to just put those things in place and at the end of the day, the people don't accept it. It becomes waste.
So there's a lot that goes into, if you sink a borehole, for example, the technology is to help you also to purify at up to a certain level so that whatever comes out is fairly potable. And so we get that for boreholes. When it comes to what are the taps, however, we trust that that will be done. The source is already contaminated. So we have problems with Galamsey and we have mercury and other things leaking into the water bodies. How safe is water from the tap now, according to information that's available to you, Gilbert?
Okay, so thank you very much. If I look at the water in front of you, I mean, this is it brown water or what kind of water in front of you? I mean, for us, it tells you that we need a lot of resources to be able to make sure it becomes like the weak water that we have here. Again, I mean, chemicals are something that you cannot see with your eyes. And so it requires a lot of resources. It requires a lot of logistics to be able to deal with some of these things. And I mean, the data is clear in our country where you see a lot of people, I mean, galamsey issues all over the places. And these galamsey, just as you discussed here, we use a lot of chemicals in mining these golds. These have contacts with our water. And then it comes to Ghana Water and Community Water and Sanitation, who have to treat this water so that they become wholesome for consumption. Mm-hmm. And we require a lot of resources to do this. So at the end of the day, the amount that we need to provide or produce for consumption, we are not able to produce it. And so, I mean, there are shortages, and we are talking about the fact that people don't have access to quality water for consumption. People don't have access to safe water for consumption and other stuff. The other thing that for me, when you are talking about water quality and water safety, that we also need to focus as a country, it's also making sure that we have the required resources. We have the human resource, the material resources that we would push into this for, making sure that this water is quality. We also look at issue of maintenance, which for me has been a big problem for us. For instance, when you go into our communities, especially where we work water aid in the Upper East region, and then you get into the communities, a borehole is sunk, and within 2 years you go back and this borehole is broken down. One, it is because people have not been specifically assigned to make sure that they are maintaining these facilities. Now, these boreholes break down, and it requires money, financial resources, to be able to make sure that we get it done. Because for water to be quality, or for you to have a safe water, it goes through a process. I mean, like you said, the borehole must, have a filtration process and other stuff to be able to get that quality water that you want to drink. But if it breaks down and we don't have the resource to feed into making sure that we maintain these boreholes, at the end of the day, the water may be coming out all right, but you may not have the quality or the safe water that you want to drink. It may be contaminated with a lot of chemicals that at the end of the day would not help our health.
Engineer, do you drink tap water?
Yes, I do, but not often.
You have to think about that for a minute.
Nowadays, sachet water has become like a source of water when it comes to potable water to use. So basically, people rely on surface water than maybe a tap water. Tap water, basically, we assume is coming from Ghana Water Company, and we know all things around it. Sometimes the conveyance to our home. Sometimes when they shut the water down and reopen it back, you can see that the quality of the water is not good, and taking it to drink is a difficult thing. And I would say I don't drink it in a way. Yeah, I don't drink it. Because I would prefer getting the sachet water to drink than drinking straight from the tap water. But you see,
that's where we incur costs, don't we? Because if I'm paying my water bills as I should, the expectation is whatever flows through my tap should be safe drinking water. But if I can't rely on my tap water, I'm spending more. What's the missing link? What are we not getting right still?
Okay, the missing link there, sometimes, we have something called water theft. And basically, when you look at this water conveyance pipes, there are people out there who just go there to, tap the water by themselves without consulting the Ghana Water Company. So by doing that, they end up polluting the water. So like I said, sometimes they shut the water down. And when you open the tap, you realize the water coming is not clean. Sometimes it's not from Ghana Water, or sometimes they call it backwash. When the actual water is coming from the the main system and they shut it down, definitely there's going to be a backwash in it. So that one has to flow first. And like I said, people intrude into it and tapping the water on their own without consulting Ghana Water Company to tap the water for them. Especially when it comes to, let's say, agricultural aspect, people tap the water without Ghana Water knowing. And at the end of the day, it becomes a challenge. Yeah.
So just maybe just to add small to what.
Do you drink tap water?
I would prefer drinking
Do
sachet.
you drink tap water?
No, I don't because the whole thing is that I mean, how regular do we see Ghana Water Company flashing these systems, cleaning these systems? So the idea is probably they do it, but we don't know. And how are they getting the information to the public? So many people are ready to pay for clean water. And that's why people go out and buy sachet water. People go out and buy bottled water because they want quality. So at the end of the day, if I know that the water that is coming out of my tap is wholesome quality for drinking, at the end of the day, I will drink it. But I have gone to communities where they open the tap and the water that flow is more dirtier than the one in front of you.
This is River Pra, by the way.
Yes.
And activities of
it's more dirtier
than this way.
River Pra. So then the point is that, so if I'm seeing this at this point, what is happening in my house if I open the tap and the water is flowing? What treatment has my water gone through? So at the end of the day, myself would be convinced that this water is clean and quality for drinking. So for me, I think that one, it borders on education. One, it borders on making sure that the systems that we have, that our water is flowing through, is regularly checked. It's regularly checked so that at the end of the day, I mean, you and I can be comfortable in our homes and say we want to take this water.
So it's education, and to educate people to know that human activity, by and large, has an impact on the quality of water. Yeah. Have we done enough education? Because we tell people about how clean the water should be. But if they don't have a choice, chances are they have to make do with what we have. Can you give us some tips on how to make water safe, for example? If you open your tap, engineer is here, perfect. If you open the tap and the water that is flowing is not as clean as it should be, what should you resort to? What should you do?
You know, when you see your water that is coming from your tap and you realize it's not good, there's nothing you can do anyway. The best thing to do is just to complain and, tell the agencies who are involved. But basically, like I said, where the source is coming from, sometimes not necessarily from the Ghana Water Company or where the problem is coming from, not necessarily from Ghana Water Company. And aside that to let's say, back off from the Ghana Water Company, people can tap into maybe borehole, which we all know is a good source of water for domestic use. Or maybe we can consider in a rainwater water harvesting aspect too, as a source of water supply, not necessarily relying on Ghana Water Company per se. A problem may come, but how to tackle? Who are you targeting? Who are you going to address such issues to? It's a difficult thing, is it?
I still want tips. So if I open my tap and it's not clean, yes, I at that point, Ghana Water will not be able to help me because, some would say at least the tap is flowing. What do I do? I go to the stream. It's not clean. I brought the water home. What do I do?
There are agencies that are responsible to make sure that our water should be clean.
But the agencies, at the point that you've gone to fetch the water, at the point that you have it in a bottle like this, the agency is not here. But I need water to drink. I need water to cook. I need water to do my domestic chores. Okay. What do I do? How do I get the water into a state that is clean enough that I can put it to some use?
So basically, we have been taught to be boiling water and making sure that we sieve it. I mean, you boil it, you sieve it for some time, and then you use it. Other people have been using chlorine in their house to make sure it's settled. But the point is that there's also chemicals that you cannot see with your eyes. And so, I mean, it is important that the agency that is required to make sure that we have clean water to drink, they do their work. And making sure that the water that flows from the tap that comes to us is clean.
But we know the relationship between our laws and what actually happens in this country, don't we? The laws are very, very nice. They are well written out, beautiful language, but the reality is not as beautiful.
Yeah, it is true that there's a gap between policy and implementation, clearly. But like I said, even though there is, but the point is that if we are not ready to bridge that gap, then we are not ready towards getting to the 2030 targets.
It's easy to put the blame on for example, Ghana Water. It's World Water Day. I mean, kudos to all the people at Ghana Water, are good friends there. We know that you do some great work, and we want to encourage you to keep doing it. But the problem for Ghana Water, and let me not start a conversation, because then people will come at me and say, why are you defending Ghana Water? They have to take the water from a certain source. Yeah. If that source is problematic, then we have a problem. That's why Galamsey is such a big thing. Yeah. Because if Ghana Water has to spend more to purify the water that we get flowing through the taps, then it means that the cost will be passed on to the consumer, and not enough people will get the water that they need because there's not enough coming in, or they are not treating enough to dispense to people. So back to basics. Are we doing enough to protect the water sources? Okay.
So maybe just to add before I come to your question, that it's not only Ghana Water that provide water for us in the country. We also have community water and sanitation agencies that looks at small community systems. We also have the Assembly also providing boreholes and other stuff that, we have the community water sanitation and management team that looks at it. So there are other agencies involved that looks at issues of water in our country. Now, talking about protecting our water bodies, when you look at across the nation and the big rivers in our country that supply us enough water that we consume, we are trying as a country to do our best to protect the water resources that we have, the underground one, the surface water ones, and other stuff. So much as we are doing this, there are also other factors. Other factors that we are battling with. You talked about issues of Galamsey. People are doing Galamsey.
And even pollution, waste disposal. Lots of the plastic waste end up in these rivers.
That's also another thing.
And then we have to deal with it.
Yes, and then the other issue also even has to do with climate change, which is affecting most water bodies. And most rivers are drying up during dry seasons. You get to, our northern part of the country, and some places that are rivers. If they give it to you to buy and build your house, you would definitely do it because of the impact of climate change. But I think that as a country, even though we are trying our best, but we still have a lot more to do as a country. And I think everybody has a role to play. Everybody has a role to play. Like you talked about the management of our sanitation, rubbers, other stuff. You get to streams and they are choked with rubbers and a whole lot of stuff. So we as individuals have a role to play. The government has a role to play, and all other agencies, we all have a role to play when it comes to making sure that we are protecting the water bodies that we have in the country.
To add upon what he's saying, this year the theme is accelerated change, and it's what the change you want to see. So you yourself, what change you want to see when it comes to water sector or when it comes to sustainable water management? It's up to individual, everybody to see to it. How can we manage our water safe so that at the end of the day, everybody can get access to water? Talking about the Galamsey issue, government is trying to fight the Galamsey issue, but in reality, individual or attitudinal change must be up to it, so that at the end of the day, whatever government is doing, we can support. Policies has been put in place, but it's led with what? Individual attitudinal change that can, let the Galamsey go down.
Can we meet the target, SDG 6? Can we do it?
That's a very, very difficult question. Looking at what we are doing as a country now, a recent study done by UNICEF is proving that as a country, what the resources that we are pushing into our water, we would need 4 times of that in order to be able to get to the 2030 target. So what it means that if we are doing, say, $25 million, we need to be doing something around $100 million from now till 2030, and looking at a lot of factors that as a country, a lot of things that we are touching on. For me, if we'll be able to get to the 2030 target, then there must be a conscious effort, a deliberate attempt to invest into water, making sure that, whatever budget that we allocate for water, we make sure we use them. Now, the practice as we see now is that the government will allocate budget. Okay, so we have, say, X amount of money that this year will be using for water. But at the end of the day, when you want to do the analysis and you look at the disbursement, you realize that even half of that money, it's not disbursed. It's not used. So that kind of attitude, that kind of practice as a country, with that, I'm not sure we'll be able to get to the 2030 target.
I'll take your final words. On World Water Day, a day like today, what should we keep in mind as we go about using water and thinking about water in a way that will ensure that, as some people fear, we will not have to import water in the foreseeable future? What should we think about on World Water Day? Keep in the back of our minds as we go about our duties.
Okay. As we said, we are celebrating World Water Day. Okay. The theme is what? Accelerating change. So how can we change the mindset towards sustainable water management? Climate change is something that we can't run away with. And looking at it, rainfall season is about to happen, or rainy season is about to happen. So as individual, as a country, what can we do to support or help in what? Sustainable water management? As it's going to rain, there are so many things that is going to happen, especially when it comes to pollution. Okay, it rains and you see people throwing rubbish, then other thing into the rain, so that at the end of the day it goes. The water will carry it out. What can we do to stop that kind of attitudinal change? So that's what we should look at it.
Gilbert.
For me, the change begins with us or from us. So, what can I do to conserve water? We say water is life. And I am imagining this morning when we woke up and turned our tap and water was not flowing, how we could have, bath and come and sit here and be talking. And I'm imagining a whole day without water. You don't have access to water to drink. So for me, individually, the water benefits us. So let the change begins from us and say, this is what I can do, the little that I can do to contribute to conserving water and also protecting our water bodies around.
Gentlemen, thank you for sitting with us. Gilbert Asante is from WaterAid Ghana, and the engineer Frank Tay is a principal technologist at the CSIR Water Research Institute. Thank you for sitting with us on this very important day, and congratulations on World Water Day. Keep doing the good work that you're doing to provide potable water for all communities across the country. It's World Water Day today, and we encourage you all to use water responsibly. Think about water a little more. Whatever activity you are involved in, how is that saving water? How is that conserving water? How is that making sure that water is safe? World Water Day. And all those of you who work in the water sector, we say congratulations to you as well. Let me send a birthday shout to Grace Bueno Kipop Lampo of Golding School. It's a happy birthday from the Minerals Commission to you. And I know that you have some friends from the Minerals Commission. So Grace, happy birthday. Congratulations. It's World Water Day. Go out, drink more water. Hey, we are told to keep safe. There's a conversation about art and craft, and it has to do with beads. Valerie is sitting down to bring it all down on the lighter side of the breakfast table after the break.